All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions Retro Series pay-per-views. We're gonna be going over SummerSlam 1989. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get right into it, man. This one was, I'd say, a little different than SummerSlam '88. This felt like a more thrown together pay-per-view,
hmm
more than storyline based. August 28, 1989, East Rutherford, New Jersey, roughly 20,000 fans in attendance. Um, the matches just literally felt like they were thrown together. There was one that was actually supposed to happen, but due to injury, they changed it. I'll get into that in a second. But for the most part, I mean, you had only one title match in this card. Another one where you dropped the titles off the tag team champions, and then because the match was already signed, you refused to defend the titles against the team that you're facing.
Right.
Two six-man tag team matches thrown together. One was actually a decent one. The other one could have gone either way. And then the main event, which I mean, the outcome pretty much spoke for itself. So, and let's not forget the Intercontinental title match could have easily been the main event of this card.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Not even getting into the dark match because that match was horrible to begin with. The opening match of the night was the WWE Tag Team Champions, the Brainbusters, newly off their tag team title victory from Demolition, facing the Hart Foundation. Now they had and before I get into this, the commentary of this was just atrocious. Period.
Tony
Because
Schiavone.
you know my feelings on Shivani.
He
And
was
the fact,
he was overselling everything.
yes, he
He
was
was
like he did in WCW, and like he does, like he does now too. By the way, in
I don't
AEW.
really watch AEW, but
I try not to either.
yeah, he's this was like this is like what's his face that I don't like? What's that guy's name? Can't remember his name now. The guy I don't like, Michael Cole. It's like Michael Cole. Like, oh
Yeah,
my god! Like,
I don't know if you watched SmackDown lately, but he's teamed up with Pat McAfee.
well,
And McAfee, to me, they call him the Bobby the Brain Heenan of this generation. I want to slap whoever said that.
no, McAfee's good though. I'm only
He
calling
is,
him
but
Bobby Heenan.
he literally oversells everything, especially when
He's
Nakamura
funny,
comes out.
but
He's
he's
out there
funny.
freaking dancing and
But he
no.
says some really slick stuff sometimes.
I'll give
You know?
him that, but I'm waiting for when he gets in the ring. But
Yeah.
whatever. In any event, yeah, Shivani and Ventura are commentating this, which aggravated me because it wasn't Monsoon and Ventura. Well, it
No.
wasn't even
I mean,
Bobby the Brain.
Ventura's awesome, but
Definitely.
he didn't work with Shivani for some reason. They had the same problem at the Royal Rumble? Was it
Yes.
Shivani and Ventura again?
Mm-hmm.
Similar
Yeah, I
situation.
didn't, and Shivani's trying to call the Hogan Warrior thing, and then Ventura had to take over
Yeah.
because Shivani just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, most people may like Shivani. Me, I don't think he can call a good match. Like you said, he oversells it.
The only thing I liked him in WCW was it's Sting. It's Sting.
Oh yeah, 30 seconds before they go off the air, and there's 57 guys in the ring, and here comes Sting, and all the NWO goes disappear.
That was it.
Here comes Sting. We gotta go. See you next week. Yeah, that was like a repeat for that man.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
It was Shivani's 1 year contract that he had here, and it was a few pay-per-views, and out the door he went.
Yeah.
So
See ya.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the Michael K voice. See ya.
Don't start with me with them Yankees.
Yeah.
Don't start. Any event. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought that just because the Brainbusters, even though if this match was signed prior to them winning the tag titles against Demolition, I think that the tag titles should have been defended at SummerSlam. Because you're putting a non-title match on the card, then what was the point of dropping the titles off of Demolition prior to doing this? I mean,
I didn't get it. That didn't make any sense.
no, especially when they signed Demolition to their six-man tag match, which I honestly don't think that the tag team titles were going to be defended at SummerSlam anyway. It didn't look that way unless that match was signed after. I could be wrong.
I don't remember, so long ago. I don't even know, but I mean that didn't make sense. At the very least, it was a great match, though. At least
it was the Brainbusters again. The one thing that they did in 1989 is they brought the best out of every tag team that they fought, with the exception of Strikeforce, which we know what was going on there. The Rockers, the Hart Foundation, Demolition, all benefited from Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Definitely,
they were solid. They're kind of forgotten in the history of great tag teams. As far As far as WWE, I want
They are because they were barely there for a year.
Because they were only there for a year. But if you go back and watch those matches, brainbuster matches, these guys are work, man.
Oh yeah, every match was definitely a good one, and this one was too. It was 16-minute, 23-second match. Obviously, tag team champions are going to get over. It was cool how they did it. You know, I love back in the day that a double axe handle off the top rope to your back of your neck will get you a 1, 2, 3 count.
Yeah.
Which today you practically have to use a tranquilizer dart to pin somebody. So yeah, Arn Anderson doing that off the top rope. The Brainbusters get the win over the Hart Foundation. You know, it's a credit to them, but the match itself was great. I just wish the tag titles would have been on the line for this.
Should have been.
So from there, we go to a match that to me didn't make any sense. It was one of those throw together matches, especially when Dusty Rhodes is wearing 2/3 of the Big Boss Man's gear.
Yeah, he had the hat
during his match, the hat and the nightstick.
Yeah,
it's Dusty Rhodes versus the Honky Tonk Man. This match to me didn't make any sense. There was no chemistry in the ring. It didn't click for me. I was kind of dozing watching this recently. You know, 9-minute, 36-second match. It was a good pay-per-view debut for Dusty Rhodes with the win. But again, it didn't make any sense. Everything to me in 1989, nothing they did with Dusty Rhodes made any sense.
It was all down after his theme song. It was just all downhill after that. Because the theme, theme song was catchy.
His feud with Savage was pretty good. I liked it.
No, but I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about not tonight.
Oh, that night, yeah.
That night, it was the theme song, and then it was just.
It was funny how Jimmy Hart hits Honky Tonk Man with the guitar, and all of a sudden he thinks he's Elvis at the end of the match. I mean, I'll give it that. That was funny, but again, this was just kind of one of those throw-togethers where they're looking for a second card on the night, and they find these two guys and go, okay, you two are going to get in the ring.
Yeah.
There was no build up to the match.
No.
So from there now, another match. Again, no build up to it. Unless, I mean, the Red Rooster was feuding with the Heenan family, but Mr. Perfect was not part of the Heenan family at the time. And this was another one of those throw together matches that squashed the Red Rooster, which he was just squashed in WWE, period.
From the beginning, from the time they gave him that stupid gimmick, the Red Rooster, and this is Bruce Pritchard's idea, by the way. And he's like, oh, because he's cocky. He's like the cock of the walk. This is the guy that's really cocky. I'm like, what?
He's Terry Taylor in WCW, and he's actually he's
a good wrestler. He was actually a good wrestler. And they ruined him with that gimmick, and he was like going doing that, right? Like when he was walking out, and then he had the stupid like mohawk with the red,
the tie dye,
that the Rooster has on top, and even Mr. Perfect was making fun of him in the beginning of that match. Mr. Perfect does a spot, he knocks him down.
He does the whole thing. And then the cheesy entrance music.
It's terrible.
Yeah, the whole thing was.
He was supposed to be like the Ric Flair of when he got.
Well, if that's what they were going to do to Ric Flair when he got there, I'm sort of glad he stayed in WCW.
He was highly touted. If you go back and you start reading stuff about him when they got him, he was like one of the guys they had a lot of hope for, and then they just gave him this stupid gimmick and they killed his career.
And then when he came back to WWE after his WCW run, again, they still didn't do anything with him. I mean, his success was in WCW. I'm sorry.
Yeah, stupid.
And this match, again, there's no build-up to it other than Mr. Perfect's perfect record. I mean, literally 3 minutes, 21 seconds. I would have rather see the Blue Blazer in a rematch with Mr. Perfect at this point.
Yeah, it was garbage.
It was. And Perfect gets the win. You know, obviously this catapults him going on to the end of the year against Hulk Hogan. So our next match after that, now this 6-man tag team match made no sense to me because I think it should have been 2 separate matches. The Fabulous Rougeaus and Rick Martell versus the Rockers and Tito Santana. All of them had a feud within themselves. I do believe this should have been 2 separate matches. The Rockers and the Rougeaus, maybe even because remember, the 89 was when they introduced the Iron Man match on the house shows with these 2 teams. Mm-hmm. Maybe putting that on SummerSlam 89 wouldn't have been a bad idea. Even if it was a 20-minute Iron Man match, I think putting that onto the pay-per-view card, showing everybody that we've been doing this on the house show would have made sense. And then, of course, you've got Tito Santana and Rick Martell, former tag team partners. Why are they not having a one-on-one match at this pay-per-view?
Well, you had all these great wrestlers in there, but then you just throw them together, and I feel like they were just trying to get everybody on. They didn't have enough time, on the card, I guess, and they were just throwing all these guys together.
Looking at the times of some of these matches, I got to agree with that.
They didn't have the time, so they just threw all these guys in the matches in these 6-man tags, and that was it. Yeah,
and
look at the talent.
I mean, the Rockers and Santana pulled off something great. Santana did the one thing I was glad he did on that match. He got the flying forearm on Martell. Unfortunately, sent them out of the ring. I mean, this was the first pay-per-view, or one of the first pay-per-views you got to hear the All-American boys.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's a Rougeau fan, which probably the same as Jarrett fans out there.
They had the little flags.
Oh, my God. They were so annoying.
They were trolls, man. They were good.
Especially the handshakes. You know, I wanted Shawn Michaels to do a super kick on him, to be honest, in the beginning of that match. But unfortunately, the Rockers and Santana get the loss in this, which it would have made sense if Martell gets over on Santana, fine. I could see that. This is you building Martell to be a heel. But the Rougeaus getting over on the Rockers in 1989? No. The Rougeaus were a go-nowhere team. And the Rockers were on their descent, especially with facing the Brainbusters that year. I mean, they were becoming a legitimate tag team, a force to be reckoned with. And the Rougeaus taking the win there, it squashed them temporarily.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
14-minute, 58-second match. You combine two matches into one, and this was your outcome. This 6-man tag I did not like. So from there, we go to the one and only title match of the evening, which very well could have been the main event because the pop that these two guys got from the fans and the outcome was just tremendous. Hogan and Beefcake could have definitely been an undercard to this. Ravishing Rick Rude defending the Intercontinental Championship against the Ultimate Warrior, a rematch from WrestleMania 5. I mean, this match had it all, and we've said this in the past countless times. These two never put on a bad match.
Nope. Great chemistry.
Yes, and they didn't disappoint here. And when we get to the next SummerSlam, they won't disappoint then either. This was 16-minute, 2-second match. The Ultimate Warrior wins back the Intercontinental title. Of course, you can thank a little bit in part to Roddy Piper, who came out mooning Rick Rude, which Rick Rude can cry all he wants in his post-match interview. He was the one that egged on Piper, if you remember. After he's like, "What are you doing out here?" He starts posing for him. So Piper's like, "All right, I got something for you." He moons him.
I didn't think it was cool, but I didn't think it was necessary. I thought Warrior should just beat him clean, you know?
Well, if you think about it, this was retribution for WrestleMania 5 because Rick Rude never beat him clean.
Yeah, Bobby Heenan, yeah.
So now this was, I guess, Vince's idea of, well, now I can have him beat Rick Rude, not clean.
That's true. Neither one of them beats each other clean, and then they have another match later on a year down the road.
To settle the score a year later.
That makes sense.
It does. So Ultimate Warrior becomes a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, something pretty much unheard of at this point because everybody is, for the most part, a one-time champion. So doing a multiple time, this was a first for the WWE, which I can't believe they did, but okay. Our next match went a little shorter than I thought, but this was the 6-man tag I actually liked. It was Demolition and King Duggan versus the Twin Towers, and to me at this point, it's an Andre the Giant that's literally he's rounded third and heading home. He's on his way out.
Yeah, he's already started.
You could start seeing it in this match. He wasn't in there as much. And I honestly think the only reason why he was used after this is because since the Brainbusters had left and he's feuding with Demolition, they had to put him with a tag team partner to continue the rivalry since the Brainbusters hadn't re-signed and left the World Wrestling Federation at the time. The combined weight in this match was just, oh my God, impressive. What did they say? It was 1,300 plus pounds.
Something like
on just that one side. And then you got Axe and Smash and Duggan, who's, I mean, they're not hitting 1,000, but they're close to it. I mean, this match was just, it showed how Demolition can beat you down. Again, it ended in typical Demolition fashion for back then. It wasn't clean. The 2x4 played an advantage to it with Duggan. Demolition and Duggan get the victory. But realistically, this was a 3-on-2 match. Andre participated, but you could tell he was starting to decline in his wrestling capabilities. Yeah. I think the decline started in the beginning of '89.
It was me. I mean, that was going on for years. He was even compromised at WrestleMania 3.
A little bit.
He was already not in the great shape. You know, his back was all messed up.
I mean, look at his size. I mean, his knees were shot. I mean, he was at this point. He was wrestling 17 years.
Yeah.
In the WWE. I mean, it was coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame that he decided to stay on longer to do it, and his credibility, like, it's almost like, you know, when we say Shawn Michaels stayed too long, it was like Shawn Michaels 2.0.
Yeah.
It was a version we didn't want to see. This is kind of like Andre's doing the same thing, unfortunately, and Andre is a tremendous wrestler. So from there, now we go to another throw together match, which again, this match didn't make any sense as well. It was Hercules versus Greg Valentine. Now, Greg Valentine's got the feud going with Rugged Ronnie Garvin.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just have that match right then and there?
I don't know.
I mean, they waited until Royal Rumble to do that match
because nobody
cared.
Because Garvin had gotten reinstated, right? That was the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, he left AWA, came back to WWE. He started the feud with Valentine. He got suspended as a wrestler, got suspended as a referee.
Then Valentine told them to reinstate him. To fight him, and then he was the special guest announcer.
Yeah,
for the match.
And what's funny is 3 minutes 8 seconds, another squash match.
That's
Valentine gets the dirty pin.
Yeah,
and Garvin turns around and gives the match to Hercules.
Right. Yeah.
When the referee talks to him, he goes, "Oh, I've been mistaken. The winner by disqualification, Hercules." And then Valentine just, you know, gives him that sucker punch that sends him out the ring.
He goes down, then he gets up.
I mean, again, this was a throw together match that neither guy has any chemistry with.
I mean, I like Garvin. I just didn't understand why that match happened the way that it happened without even Garvin wrestling. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and then they waited again until 5 more months till the Royal Rumble, and
by that point, the feud, nobody cared.
Yeah. So I think maybe they should have fought at this one. Hercules could have had another opponent easily.
Well, I have an idea. We'll get to it in a second. After this.
Okay. With the next match?
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going with that. Our next match was a throw together match, but for a good reason. It was Superfly Jimmy Snuka versus the $1 Million Man Tadibiazi. Now, I did through my research, I did find out that this match was supposed to be Jake the Snake Roberts versus Tadibiazi. Due to Jake Roberts actually having an injury, they did it on storyline with him feuding with DiBiase, which is another match that waited even longer than Royal Rumble until the following WrestleMania. They were supposed to fight at SummerSlam, so due to him being unable to, they threw Superfly Jimmy Snuka into this match. Now, I guarantee I know where you're going with this. You're saying Hercules versus DiBiase?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just keep going. We'll get to it.
Okay. Now, this match was no slouch. I mean, it was a throw together, but Snuka is a pretty good athlete. DiBiase, I thought, considering how you main evented the inaugural SummerSlam, and now all of a sudden you're the runner-up match to the main event in a match with Snuka, I thought it was kind of a throwaway for him. Because now he's declining away from that main event status. So, but I mean, 6 minutes, 27 seconds, Ted DiBiase gets the victory over Snuka. At least we got to see the Superfly splash. We saw on Virgil anyway. But again, this is another throw together match due to injury, which, I mean, it wasn't bad. It could have been better.
No, it's just the filler. It's the filler match. That's all.
Yeah, considering the injury.
Mm-hmm.
And DiBiase comes away with the victory.
No.
So, which now leads us to the main event. Again, the WWE title's not being defended at SummerSlam, which again I did not like, because I could easily have gone. I would have loved another Hogan Savage contest. It was Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus the Macho Man Randy Savage and Zeus.
This is what I was gonna say. Instead of Beefcake, it should have been Hercules and Hogan, because it would have been Hercules versus Zeus.
You know, that actually wouldn't have been a bad match,
right? And then Hogan could have put him over, like, you may be Zeus, but I got Hercules in my corner. I got the mighty Hercules. He could have put him over, and Hercules was jacked. Hercules was jacked. I mean, he couldn't wrestle, but he was jacked. It would have been the visual.
He couldn't wrestle, but he could knock you out.
Right. So the visual of it would have been good.
I mean, imagine with him coming out the victor with Hogan, how that would have done for his career.
Yeah. That's what it should have been. Hercules and Hogan versus Zeus and Macho Man.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah,
And this, I mean,
back then.
We all should have been booking back. We all should be booking now.
Mm.
I mean, seriously. My thoughts out there to Bray Wyatt, by the way. This all coming off of the whole No Holds Barred movie. Yeah. It all started. Remember, it was a Saturday Night main event against Big Boss Man in the steel cage. Mm-hmm. Zeus is standing there.
Yeah,
and I mean, they portray, and this is what I don't like about WWE when you get these big guys like Zeus, Kali, Omos right now, and Aziz. I mean, you get these big guys and you make them almost inhuman to where nothing hurts them.
Yeah,
when they finally get that loss, how are you going to bounce back from that? I mean, this is why I don't like when they do build up like this, because now they've built up Zeus to where he can't. Number one, he can't wrestle at all. Well, he can't wrestle worth a damn.
It's not his fault. He wasn't a wrestler. He was an actor. It's not his fault. I mean, they just threw him in that situation and
too fast too.
And what was the storyline that they had beef on the set of No Holds Barred, and so
Zeus didn't like the fact that Hogan's character got over on him at the end of the movie, and
so
he brought it into reality, and he shows up in his world.
And all he had was that the chop to the
that he would make it look like he would wring your neck.
Right, yeah.
And then he'd keep hitting himself.
And then he was remember he beat up Beefcake on, what did he beat him up on? I don't know. I don't know if it was this.
Oh no! I think it was. It wasn't primetime. It was the main event.
It was the main event
against Savage. You talking about that match where Savage fought Beefcake right before SummerSlam?
Yeah. And then Hogan came out to help, and then he beat up Hogan too.
You notice Hogan never was at ringside for that. By the way,
no.
Zeus is at ringside for his partner, but where's Hogan?
And Hogan came out. Yeah. Nowhere to be found. Then he bear hugged him, and then they were both like trying. He was no selling everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great look, though. You got to give it to him. He looked. He
did. If they would have trained him right, he probably would have been worth something that actually stayed past Survivor Series.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they had hopes for him. They had hopes for him, but
like they had hopes for Mr. T, and that didn't work. Yeah. I mean, he was no selling everything in the match. Randy Savage had to get in the match more than he was supposed to. And I mean, in the end, it took Sherry's loaded purse to knock him out, and then Hogan could all of a sudden body slam him. That's amazing. Zeus is no bigger than Hogan, and he can't body slam him until this point, which was ridiculous.
Sherry was great though, man. Sherry is underrated.
She is. You know that. Every time she's at ringside with whoever, whether it be Savage, Tadibiazi, or Shawn, she was always involved in it.
Yeah, remember the promos that she used to cut? She's like, Zoom!
The cauldron, the whole cauldron, thing she did with that.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, she was even a good chap. She had them cut her hair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if those were extensions, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think.
And Elizabeth came out. That was a secret weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love how she was the secret weapon or the crown jewel for like a year and a half against Savage.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't do well. She didn't do much, but
but she was there. She was there for more.
She distracted Sherry.
Yeah.
She was for the luster.
Yeah.
Rather than anything else. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, I like Sherry's promos, especially when they had the steel cage match after Christmas. When she would go into, you remember, I think it was on Superstars where she went into Hogan and BBK's locker room and she threw the salt in their eyes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here comes Zeus and Savage, and by this point, it's Macho King Randy Savage. I mean, yeah, she did a great job. My hat's off to her. She was a great manager. Mm-hmm. And this match again, 15 minutes 4 seconds. Hogan gets the pin on Zeus. You've made it to where Zeus can be hurt, but yet they still go on with this I can't be hurt gimmick, which really killed him by Survivor Series.
Yeah, it was over.
And it's a shame because that was a good Survivor Series team, on the two sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I really don't think they knew what to do with that man. It was a shame.
No, it was
potential. But I
don't even think that he couldn't wrestle. That's not his fault. The guys.
No, they didn't put the work in for him. He had the look.
No, but you can't teach somebody to wrestle in a couple months. You can't do it. It's not possible. It's just not. You can't do it.
It's a shame because again, like I said, he had the look, but again, they're bringing Hollywood in on this.
That's what it was. It was because they were promoting the movie, so they were really. I think they were just really trying to sell the movie more than
Than the main
anything
event.
else. Because remember they had that match. It was like on pay-per-view. It was like no holds barred. The event. It was like
Yes.
you bought it, and then you would watch the movie, and then right after the movie was like a steel cage match between Hogan and Zeus. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was called the
Yeah, I
main
remember.
event.
I didn't buy it. No, I had already seen the movie at this point. I didn't need
Yeah.
to see it
Well,
twice.
I saw it at my uncle's house. He had the hot box, so I saw it.
I went to the premiere night with my dad
Yeah.
that year, yeah, to see it because again, at that age, I'm 10 years old. I'm a huge Hulk Hogan fan at the time because I didn't know any better, and he's in a movie against this big old guy, and I'm like,
No,
I
yeah.
gotta see this movie.
I know. You know what it was though? The movie bombed so bad that I think that when I tried to go see it, it wasn't in the theaters anymore. I think
It didn't last long.
No, it didn't. I think if you didn't go like the first couple weeks, I think it was in and out because it tanked.
It was on VHS tape literally in a matter of like 3 months.
We got to review them. Remember I told you we got to do like a special episode.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. We'll review it.
mean,
I have it. I got the Blu-ray.
I've seen that movie so many times. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, it's a stupid movie, but still, it's it's part of the history of Hulk.
It's not as stupid as Mr. Nanny, but it's up there.
Yeah. So,
but whatever. So it's Hogan trying to get into Hollywood at that point.
So I mean, SummerSlam overall, that was all right.
It wasn't as good as '88, the inaugural one. I still we won't get a WWE title defense until the following year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the lack of title defenses and the throw together matches kind of took away from this. But I think the Warrior Rude match ultimately saved the pay-per-view.
Yeah, pretty much.
I give it a 6.
Yeah, it was all right.
Again, SummerSlam is a work in progress at this point.
Yeah,
it's only the second one.
Give it time. They get better.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, that's true. All right, well, that's our SummerSlam 89 review. We'll be doing SummerSlam 1990 next, so you guys make sure to let us know what you think about this SummerSlam. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.